ferry groaned its way through the choppy waves, the salty spray stinging my face. Beside me, Sarah clutched a bath bag like a lifeline, her normally vibrant green eyes pale and glassy. "Maybe this island getaway wasn't the best idea," she mumbled, her voice strained. "Hey, come on," I nudged her shoulder, forcing a smile. We needed this. A week of sun, sand, and zero responsibility. Just us and the boys. Us being Sarah, Emily, Mike, and yours truly, Alex. College besties for years, now all drowning in the post-grad sludge of adulting. Dead-end jobs, mounting debt, and the ever-present existential dread, the perfect recipe for a tropical escape. The island, Isla Perdida, was supposed to be paradise found. A sliver of emerald green jutting out of the endless blue. Roche's boasted pristine beaches, untouched coral reefs, and a charming seclusion. We'd booked a ramshackle beach house perched on a cliff, promising breathtaking sunsets and uninterrupted relaxation. Disembarking from the ferry was like stepping into a steam bath. Humidity clung to us like a second skin, and the cacophony of cicadas filled the air. A wiry old man with a sunbaked face greeted us, introducing himself as Miguel, the caretaker. His withered hands wrestled our luggage onto a rickety jeep, and with a grin that revealed a surprising number of gold teeth, he declared, "Welcome to paradise, amigos." The drive to the beach house was a bumpy affair that rattled my teeth loose. We plunged deeper into the island's heart, the dense jungle pressing in on both sides. Miguel pointed out exotic birds with plumage so vibrant they looked painted, and ancient trees with gnarled roots that seemed to reach out like grasping claws. The beach house itself was straight out of a shipwreck fantasy. Weathered wood, peeling paint, and a porch swaying lazily in the salty breeze. Inside, it was surprisingly cozy, with mismatched furniture and a collection of seashells adorning every shelf. It had a lived-in feel, but not in a bad way. Like an old friend welcoming you with open arms. The first day was a blur of sunshine, turquoise water, and fruity cocktails. We swam, snorkeled, built sandcastles that got promptly demolished by rogue waves, and laughed until our sides ached. The island did live up to its name, Lost. There was no cell service, no internet, just us and the rhythm of the waves. On the second day, we decided to explore the island's interior. Miguel had mentioned a hidden waterfall that supposedly had a natural pool perfect for swimming. The trail leading to it was barely visible, a narrow path choked with vines and fallen leaves. The air grew cooler. The sunlight filtered through a thick canopy of trees. After what felt like an eternity, we stumbled upon a clearing. And there it was, the waterfall. A cascade of crystal clear water plummeting into a pool carved from smooth green rock. We stripped down to our swimsuits and dove in, the cool water a welcome relief from the humid jungle air. As I lay back on a rock, letting the sun warm my skin, I noticed a faint light coming from behind the waterfall. Curiosity piqued. I squeezed through the curtain of cascading water, discovering a small cavern tucked away behind the rock face. Inside, the air hung heavy with dust and the smell of something old and damp. My eyes adjusted to the gloom, revealing a collection of dusty furniture, a large ornately framed map hanging on the wall, and a collection of mirrors. Dozens of them, of all shapes and sizes. Antique hand mirrors with tarnished silver frames, a full-length mirror propped against the wall, and an ornately carved wooden frame holding a cracked, aged glass. It was an unsettling collection, reflecting back distorted images in the dim light. A shiver ran down my spine. An inexplicable urge to get away from the mirrors pulsed through me. But Emily, who had followed me in, gasped, "Wow, Alex, look at this." She was staring into a hand mirror, her face etched with a mixture of amusement and disbelief. It's younger me," she said, her voice barely a whisper. I peered over her shoulder. In the reflection, Emily looked about 10 years old, her hair in pigtails, a gap-toothed grin on her face. It was uncanny, a perfect snapshot of a time long gone. One by one, we each stepped in front of a mirror, drawn to the distorted images staring back at us. Sarah saw a glimpse of herself on stage, the night she bombed her high school play. Mike, his face pale, saw himself standing in front of a burning building, a look of helpless terror etched on his reflection. The image flickered, the flames licking at the edges of the mirror, then snapped back to the present. We exchanged nervous glances, a cold dread settling in our stomachs. These weren't mere reflections, They were windows into repressed memories, dark secrets we'd buried deep within. "This is messed up," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. "We should get out of here." Just as we turned to leave, a guttural growl echoed through the cavern. We whipped around, hearts pounding in our chests. The air grew thick with an oppressive silence, broken only by the dripping of water from the waterfall outside. A flicker of movement caught my eye. In the largest mirror, a distorted figure began to take shape. It wasn't a reflection of any of us, but a horrifying amalgamation of shadows and malice. Its form pulsed with an unnatural energy, tendrils of darkness reaching out from the cracked glass. Panic surged through me. I grabbed Emily's arm and yanked her back. "Run!" I yelled. The word ripped from my throat. We scrambled out of the cave, the chilling growl echoing behind us. We burst back into the clearing, lungs burning, only to find Mike frozen in place, staring at his reflection in a small hand mirror. "Mike, come on!" Sarah screamed, tears welling in her eyes. His reflection, however, was no longer his own. The entity from the cave had taken over the mirror, its dark form writhing within the glass. It spoke in a voice that was a chorus of whispers, a chilling symphony of our deepest fears. "Join us, become one with the shadows." Mike's eyes glazed over, a vacant smile spreading across his face. He reached out, his hand trembling, towards the mirror. Before he could touch it, I shoved him aside. He stumbled, the hand mirror clattering to the ground, shattering into a million pieces. The entity shrieked, a sound that seemed to split the earth in two. The mirrored shards pulsed with an evil light, then faded, leaving only a faint trail of smoke. Mike blinked, shaking his head as if waking from a dream. What happened?" He stammered, looking at us with bewildered confusion. Relief washed over me, weak and shaky. We explained about the cave, the mirrors, and the horrifying entity. Mike stared at his pale, trembling hands, the memory of the entity's voice still a faint echo in his mind. We fled the clearing, the playful chatter of the morning replaced by a heavy silence. Back at the beach house, a strange sense of unease hung in the air. We spent the rest of the day huddled together, the carefree spirit of the vacation replaced by gnawing fear. We knew what lurked in the shadows, what secrets the mirrors held. Sleep that night was a distant dream. Every creak of the old house, every rustle in the palm trees felt amplified, a potential harbinger of the entity's return. We huddled together for warmth, not just from the cool island air, but from the chilling memory of what we'd seen. The next morning, we were a changed group. The island's beauty seemed tarnished, the playful turquoise waves now a reminder of the darkness hidden beneath. We didn't explore any more hidden waterfalls, didn't venture far from the beach house. We were prisoners of our fear, haunted by the knowledge of what existed beyond the safety of sunlight and open spaces. On the day we were supposed to leave, the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Miguel arrived with a worried frown. "Everything all right, amigos? You all look like you've seen a ghost." We exchanged nervous glances. Should we tell him about the cave, the entity, the mirrors? He wouldn't believe us, we reasoned. Or worse, he might be in danger if he knew. Finally, Sarah cleared her throat. We realized this island isn't quite what we expected," she said, her voice strained. "It's a bit too quiet." Miguel chuckled, showing his gold teeth. "Quiet is good, no? Gives you time to think." He helped us load our luggage onto the jeep, his jovial demeanor a stark contrast to the turmoil within us. As the ferry pulled away from the island, I took one last look at Isla Perdida. The sun glinted off the water, making it sparkle like a million scattered jewels. But I couldn't shake the feeling that beneath that beauty, something dark and malevolent still lurked. We may have escaped the island, but the island, and the entity it housed, had left an indelible mark on our souls. The question that gnawed at me was, how many other secrets did the island hold? Was the entity confined to that single cavern, or were there more mirrors scattered across the island, each a potential gateway for its terrifying influence? We made a pact that night on the ferry, a desperate attempt to outrun the chilling memories. We wouldn't speak of the cave, the mirrors, or the entity. We would pretend it was all a bad dream, a shared hallucination brought on by the island's isolation. Back in the city, the familiar sights and sounds offered a fragile sense of normalcy. Yet, The darkness lingered at the edges of our lives. Sarah started sleepwalking, muttering about burning buildings and a voice that promised solace in the flames. Mike developed a nervous twitch, constantly glancing over his shoulder, convinced he was being watched. As for me, the reflection in the mirror became my personal hell. I saw not just myself, but fleeting glimpses of the entity, its tendrils of darkness reaching out from beyond the glass. One night, a frantic call from Emily shattered the fragile peace we'd constructed. "It's here," she gasped, her voice barely a whisper. The thing from the cave. It's in the mirror." My heart pounded in my chest. This wasn't a dream, a shared delusion. The entity was real, and it was targeting us. We raced to Emily's apartment, dread coiling in our stomachs with every passing moment. The scene that greeted us was horrifying. Emily lay sprawled on the floor, her eyes wide with terror, a shattered mirror lying beside her. There was no sign of the entity, but its malevolent presence hung heavy in the air. That night, we decided to fight back. Miguel's words, "Quiet is good, gives you time to think," echoed in my mind. We scoured the internet, delving into obscure folklore and forgotten mythologies, searching for anything that could explain the entity and its connection to the mirrors. Days turned into weeks, asleep a fragmented mess haunted by nightmares. Finally, a breakthrough. In a dusty online archive, we stumbled upon a reference to an ancient ritual, a summoning spell performed through enchanted mirrors. The purpose, to trap a malevolent entity from the shadow realm. A sliver of hope flickered within us. If the mirrors could be used to summon the entity, perhaps they could also be used to banish it. The ritual was complex, demanding specific ingredients and a precise sequence of actions. We scoured occult shops, antique stores, and even the internet's black market, gathering the necessary items. On a night shrouded in darkness, we returned to Isla Perdida. Miguel, hesitant but ultimately loyal, agreed to help us. We ventured back to the clearing, the air thick with anticipation and a touch of fear. Standing before the cavern in trance, we performed the ritual, chanting words that felt alien on our tongues. As the final verse echoed through the clearing, the mirrors in the cave began to glow, an ominous purple light emanating from their depths. The air crackled with energy, and the entity materialized within the largest mirror, its form writhing and screaming in defiance. The fight was brutal. The entity lashed out with tendrils of shadow, seeking to possess us and draw us into its dark realm. We fought back with everything we had, fueled by fear and a desperate hope to end this nightmare. In the end, it was the sunlight streaming through the waterfall that became our weapon. As the first rays touched the entity, it shrieked in agony, its form dissolving into wisps of smoke. The mirrors in the cave shattered with an ear-splitting bang, showering the cavern floor with glittering shards. Silence descended, heavy and thick. We had won, but at a cost. Isla Perdida would forever be tainted by our encounter. We left the island the following morning, a group forever bound by a shared trauma and a secret we could never truly outrun. The entity might be gone, but the memory of its chilling presence remained, and as for how many other secrets the island held, we dared not ask. Isla Perdida had shown us enough darkness to last a lifetime.